I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing all this out like some sort of confession, but here we are. My name's Jason, and I'd been with my wife, Emily, for about 5 years. We got engaged a few months ago, and honestly, I thought we had a pretty solid relationship. She was the type of girl who'd say she loved me every single day, and I believed it. Or at least I wanted to believe it. Looking back, there were little signs that something was off. She started staying late at work more often, claiming it was important meetings or some project she had to finish. She'd get defensive if I asked too many questions, brushing it off with a sarcastic laugh or a roll of her eyes. I remember one time I found her in tears over a text message she got from her boss, Mark. She told me Mark was just a douche, trying to get her to do something inappropriate, and that she shut him down. I believed her at the time, mostly because I was stupidly blinded by love, or maybe just desperate to keep everything perfect. Still, I couldn't shake this gnawing feeling that something was really wrong. I'd catch her sneaking around, hiding her phone when I walked into the room, or changing the subject when I brought up her work. She'd get bitchy, snap at me, call me paranoid. That was her go-to, dismissing my concerns and telling me I was overthinking everything. She'd say, "You're crazy, Jason. I love you, but you're imagining things. Mark's just being a jerk." That phrase, "I love you," started to feel like a punchline after a while. Like she was just saying it because she knew I'd keep trusting her. Then came the night everything fell apart. I was planning to propose to her, a surprise romantic dinner at our favorite restaurant. I'd been saving up, got her a ring I knew she'd love, and I was ready to ask her to spend the rest of her life with me. The night was perfect, or so I thought. We were having a great time, laughing, joking, talking about the future. I brought out the ring, got down on one knee, and asked her if she'd marry me. She said yes, of course, with tears in her eyes. I felt like I just won the lottery. In that moment, everything seemed perfect. But then came the strange part. That very night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her texts, her late nights, the way she'd slip her phone into her purse the second I looked at her. I decided to do a little digging. Got into her phone when she was in the shower. Stupid, I know, but I was desperate. And what I found made my stomach drop. There were dozens of messages between her and Mark. Dirty, explicit messages. Pictures of her in sexy outfits, talking about sex sessions and how Mark makes her feel special. She wasn't just cheating, she was planning to run away with him just like that. They'd been talking about her leaving me, how they'd escaped to some new life together right after I proposed. I couldn't breathe. My hands shook, my heart pounding like it wanted out of my chest. How could she do this? How could she lie so convincingly, tell me she loved me, when behind my back she was planning her new life with her boss? It was like my entire world had flipped upside down in a matter of seconds. I kept thinking about her bitchy attitude, her biting words, all the times she'd dismiss my worries as paranoia. She knew what she was doing and she didn't care. All those nights I stayed up worrying, all those "I love yous" were just a game to her. And now I was left standing there, completely shattered, questioning everything I thought I knew about her, about us. The next morning was a blur. I couldn't sleep a wink after what I found, and I knew I had to confront her. My mind was racing, trying to figure out the best way to do it. I kept thinking about her bitchy attitude, the way she'd snap at me for even suggesting something might be wrong, and now I saw why. She was lying through her teeth. I decided I'd catch her off guard. No more waiting around, no more pretending everything was fine. When she came home from work that afternoon, she was her usual bitchy self, throwing her purse on the counter, rolling her eyes when I asked her how her day was. I could tell she was hiding something. The way she avoided eye contact, the slight nervousness in her voice. I didn't say anything yet. Instead, I just watched her, waiting for the right moment. I told her I needed to talk. Her expression instantly changed. She looked annoyed, like I was bothering her. "What now, Jason?" she snapped, crossing her arms. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "It's about Mark," I said plainly. Her face froze for a second, then she scoffed. "What about him? You're paranoid, Jason. You always blow things out of proportion." "Really?" "Because I found your messages," I said, pulling out my phone and showing her the screen. Her face shifted from annoyance to pure panic. "What the hell is this?" I demanded. She tried to snatch the phone away, but I held it steady. Her eyes darted around, trying to come up with an excuse, but she knew she was caught. Her voice got bitchy again, high-pitched, defensive. "You don't understand, Jason. It's not what it looks like. Those messages, he's just a coworker, it's nothing. I don't know how you got these, but you're overreacting." She was lying, clearly. She kept insisting it was just work stuff, that she never cheated. Even when the evidence was right there in front of her face, she threw in the usual line. "You're crazy, Jason. I love you. You're just insecure." I wasn't buying it. The pain in my chest was unbearable. How could she say she loved me, then plan her escape with her boss? How could she look me in the eye and lie so easily? I felt my anger bubbling up. I told her I knew about her plans, that she was planning to run away with Mark, leaving me heartbroken after I'd just proposed. Her reaction was a mix of anger and disdain, like I was the biggest idiot in the world for not seeing it sooner. She looked at me with this bitchy smirk and said, "You really think I'd do that? You're just jealous, Jason. You're insecure. Mark's just a step up from you, honestly." That cut deep. I felt a mixture of fury, heartbreak, and betrayal all at once. How could she be so callous, so cruel? I'd given her everything, my time, my love, my future, and she was planning to toss it all away with her boss. I realized then that I was just a pawn. To her, someone she'd use until she got what she wanted, then toss aside like garbage. I told her I needed some time to think, that I couldn't just pretend everything was fine anymore. She scoffed again, rolled her eyes, and went to her room, muttering something about how I was overreacting. But I knew the truth. She'd been lying all along, hiding her affair, planning her new life. The woman I loved, the woman I proposed to just yesterday, was now a stranger. And I was left broken, questioning everything I believed about her, about us. I knew the next steps weren't going to be easy, but I also knew I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay. Not anymore. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling around her lies, her bitchy attitude, and the way she'd look at me with that smug smirk after I confronted her. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, but worse, like I'd lost a part of myself. I had trusted her, loved her, believed she was my future, and now I saw her for what she really was. A manipulative, selfish woman willing to betray everything we had just. To run away with her boss. I stayed up scrolling through her messages, trying to make sense of it all. I saw they'd been talking for months, secret dinners, late-night calls, plans to escape. The worst part, she kept insisting she loved me, kept telling me I was the best thing that ever happened to her, all while planning her getaway. I felt like a damn fool. How did I not see this coming? I was so blinded by how much I loved her, I missed the signs. I kept replaying her words, the little signs I brushed off, the times she snapped at me when I just asked how her day was. The next morning, I knew I had to do something. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay, not after what I found out. I decided I'd confront her again, but this time with a plan. I told myself I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. I was going to get the truth out of her, no matter how bitchy or defensive she got. I made sure to record her reaction, just in case I needed proof for later, because I knew she'd lie again. That woman could spin a web of lies faster than I could blink. When she came home from work that afternoon, I was already waiting. She looked annoyed like usual, but I didn't care. I just stared at her, the anger boiling inside me. I told her I knew everything, the messages, the plans, the whole fucking scam. Her eyes widened for a second, then she put on that bitchy smirk. "Jason, you're overreacting. You're making a huge deal out of nothing. I love you and I'm not going anywhere except maybe to the spa for some peace of mind," she said sarcastically, trying to brush it off. I shook my head, pulling out my phone I'd hidden earlier. "No, Emily, I recorded everything. I know about the affair, about you and Mark planning to run away right after I proposed. That's the real reason you've been so distant, so bitchy. You're not fooling anyone anymore." Her face turned red, her eyes flashing with anger. She started yelling, calling me crazy, paranoid, and possessive. She kept insisting she loved me, but I didn't believe her anymore. I saw her for what she was, a manipulative liar who'd been playing me for months. Her reaction was classic. She shouted, "You're just jealous because Mark doesn't want you. He's the only one who's ever truly appreciated me," and spat out, "You're nothing compared to him." That was it. I felt my blood boil. How could she say that, After everything, she was still trying to hurt me, still trying to turn this around on me like I was the villain. But I knew the truth now. She didn't love me. She loved the idea of escaping, of leaving her life behind, and I was just a stepping stone in her game. I told her I'd had enough. I was done pretending. I told her she could go, that I wanted nothing to do with her anymore. Seeing her so angry, so bitchy, trying to deny it all was satisfying in a way, like maybe I was finally waking up from this terrible nightmare. I packed a bag, told her I'd be staying at my friend's place for a while, and that I'd be filing for divorce. She didn't even try to stop me. She just yelled at the top of her lungs, calling me crazy, jealous, and pathetic. That was the last straw. I felt numb walking out that door. My heart was shattered, but a part of me also felt relief. I couldn't be with a woman who'd betray me like that. It was a brutal lesson on trust, betrayal, and how easy it is to be blind when you're in love. I realize now that love doesn't mean blind trust, and sometimes you have to face the ugly truth head-on, no matter how much it hurts. That night I slept alone for the first time in years, knowing I'd have to rebuild from the ashes of everything I thought my life was. The days that followed were the hardest I've ever experienced. I was no longer living in the world I thought I knew. Every morning I woke up with this sick feeling in my stomach, wondering if I'd ever truly trust anyone again. It's funny how betrayal can change your entire perspective. Suddenly, everything seems fragile, like walking on glass. I kept replaying her words, her lies, and the moment I found out about her plans with Mark, it was like I'd been hit by a truck, then dragged through a thorn bush. I stayed, mostly alone, trying to process what had happened. I'd go to work, act normal, but inside I was a mess. The betrayal cut so deep I started questioning everything: my judgment, my ability to love, even my own worth. I kept thinking about how she would tell me she loved me, then go behind my back and plan her escape. That bitchy attitude she'd throw around, her disdain whenever I tried to talk about us. Now I saw it was just her way of hiding the truth. She was never really interested in us. She was just playing a game all along. One day I decided I needed some closure. I reached out to my brother Mike for advice. He's been through his fair share of bad relationships, and I figured he'd understand what I was going through. We met up at a bar and I poured my heart out, about her, about the affair, about how I felt like a fool. Mike listened patiently, then looked at me with that no-nonsense expression he always has. "You gotta get rid of that girl's shit, man," he said bluntly. "You deserve better than a lying, manipulative bitch who only wants your money and your status. Cut her out of your life completely. No contact." That was the moment I realized I'd been clinging to the idea of her, not her actual self. I decided to pack up everything of hers I could find, her clothes, her jewelry, even her stupid little makeup bag, and throw it in a box. I didn't want to see her bitchy face anymore. I wanted her out of my life, the memories erased. I took the box to my car, then drove to her apartment to drop it off. I knocked once, but she didn't answer. I left the box outside her door with a note. "You lied to me, betrayed me, and planned to leave me after I gave you everything. Don't come back. Stay away from my life." When I walked away from her apartment that day, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. It was like I'd finally broken free from a toxic cage. But I also felt hollow, like part of me was gone forever. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind, so trusting. The worst part, I still loved her even after all she'd done. It's crazy how love can be so powerful and so destructive at the same time. Over the next few weeks, I started to rebuild my life. I got rid of most of her stuff, blocked her on every social media platform, and avoided places I knew she might show up. I threw myself into work, trying to distract myself from the pain. But the hardest part was the constant reminder that I'd been played, that she'd lied to me, cheated on me, and then had the nerve to act like the victim. I kept thinking about her bitchy attitude, the way she'd dismiss me, call me paranoid, and pretend everything was fine. Now I knew her game. She was a master manipulator, and I was just another pawn in her scheme. One night I sat alone in my apartment looking at the engagement ring I once thought symbolized our love. Now it just felt like a weight around my neck. I wondered if I'd ever find someone who truly cared, who wouldn't lie and cheat. The trust was broken, maybe beyond repair. But deep down I knew I'd survive. I had to. Because if there's one thing I learned from all this, it's that some people are just not worth your time or your heart. They're only going to hurt you, and no matter how much you love them, you have to be willing to walk away. That's the only way to reclaim your life. As the days turned into weeks, I started noticing something strange. The pain of betrayal was still there, sure, but I also began feeling a strange sense of clarity. It was like I'd been living in a fog, and finally I could see everything for what it really was. I realized I'd spent so much time trying to hold onto a relationship built on lies, trying to fix something that was already broken. Honestly, part of me felt relieved that I finally saw her true face, even if it hurt like hell. One particular evening, I was sitting on my porch, just staring at the sunset, when I started thinking about the future. I knew I had a long way to go, trusting again wasn't going to happen overnight, but I also knew I had to focus on myself now. I had to rebuild my confidence, my self-worth. I started hitting the gym more regularly, reconnecting with old friends, and even took up a new hobby, photography. It helped a little, gave me a reason to get up every day and not drown in sadness. But no matter how hard I tried, her image still haunted me sometimes, especially when I'd get those sudden flashes of her bitchy smirk or her dismissive attitude. One night, I decided I needed some closure beyond what I already had. I reached out to her, not to ask for forgiveness or try to reconcile, but just to hear her out. I wanted her to know I wasn't going to be some doormat anymore. I sent her a message, asking if she wanted to talk. To my surprise, she responded pretty quickly, her tone still bitchy but a little less vicious. She said she wanted to explain herself, that she was trapped and mistreated, that Mark had saved her from a boring life with me. Classic, she said. We arranged to meet at a cafe. I went in with a mixture of anger and curiosity, not really expecting anything good. She sat across from me, looking exactly the same. Bitchy smirk, sharp eyes, that irritating attitude. She started telling me how she felt stifled, how I was too possessive, and how Mark made her feel alive. She claimed she never really cheated, that her messages were just flirty banter, and that I was too insecure. She even went as far as to say I was the one who pushed her away, that she had no choice but to do what she did. I listened, feeling a boiling rage inside. She was still lying, still trying to spin the story to make herself look like the victim. I could see through her bullshit now. She was a bitch, plain and simple. A selfish, manipulative woman who'd lie her way out of anything. I told her I'd already seen everything, that I knew she'd planned to leave me for Mark, and that her explanation was bullshit. I told her she was a liar, a cheat, and a selfish bitch who didn't deserve my love or respect. I told her she could keep her excuses because I was done. Done pretending she cared, done believing her lies, and done being the fool she made me. Walking away from that meeting, I felt like I'd finally taken back some control. I knew I'd never forget what she did, but I also knew I couldn't let her keep hurting me by holding on to anger forever. That night, I slept better than I had in months. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt like I was taking small steps toward healing. Looking back now, I realized that trusting blindly was my biggest mistake. I let love blind me, and I paid a heavy price for it. But I also learned a lot about myself, about my boundaries, my worth, and the kind of person I don't want to be with. I don't hate her, not really. I just see her for what she was, a bitchy, manipulative woman who was never truly mine to begin with. And that's okay, because now I'm finally starting to rebuild my life piece by piece without her. It's not perfect, and I'll probably never fully trust anyone again, but I'm better off without her. That much I know for sure. Now I sit here, reflecting on everything that's happened, and honestly I feel a strange mixture of relief and exhaustion. The betrayal cut so deep I thought I'd never recover, but somehow I did. Maybe not entirely. Trust is a fragile thing, and I know I'll carry scars from this forever, but I've learned some hard truths. The biggest one is that love isn't enough if it's built on lies and manipulation. You have to protect yourself first, or you'll end up crushed. I've come to understand that people like her, those who lie, cheat, and manipulate, are just not worth the pain. I wasted so much time trying to fix what was broken beyond repair, thinking I could change her, make her see how much I loved her. But love isn't a band-aid for selfishness and betrayal. It's a foundation that has to be mutual, honest, and rooted in respect. When those things are gone, everything else crumbles. Moving on isn't easy. I still get flashes of anger, sadness, and regret. But I also get moments of clarity, moments where I realize I have a choice. I can let this define me, or I can use it as a lesson to be smarter about who I trust and how I love. I don't think I'll ever fully forget her, but I can forgive myself for being naive. I can forgive her too for being who she is, because she chose her path, not me. Today, I focus on rebuilding my life piece by piece. I know I'll eventually love again, but I'll be more cautious. No more blind trust, no more giving my heart away to someone who doesn't deserve it. I've learned that the hard way. The scars are there, but they're also a reminder. A reminder that I survived, that I'm stronger than I thought, and that I won't let anyone treat me like a fool again. So, to anyone out there who might be going through something similar, trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs. And most importantly, value yourself enough to walk away when someone shows their true colors. Love isn't about sacrificing your happiness or your self-respect. It's about finding someone who truly loves you back, who respects you, and who wouldn't betray you for anything. Because, at the end of the day, that's what we all deserve.